There we go. I didn't push the right button, Nancy. That's what it was. Now I'm here. So, can y'all hear me now? I hope so. You should be able to see me now because I can see myself on both sets of screens here. So let's try this again. It's 45 degrees here in the valley. It's been raining most of the day off and on. And we sorely need the rain. We are considered to be in a moderate drought. Let me turn this volume down a little bit here. Got a lot going on tonight, a lot that I haven't done yet. All right. So, how's everybody's bees doing? Hey, Larry, Randy. Yep, that's right. 34 of us are here. 44, actually. Yeah, it's 45 here right now. Hi, Kathy. Where's JT? Is he coming in tonight? Yes, Nancy, he did have a nice Demaree video. He was a little frustrated with it, but it turned out to be a pretty good video. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, we were just talking about your video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That bad, huh?
No, it actually turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, I screwed it up right at the end, but other than that,
it wasn't bad.
But I did let everybody know. The only other thing that I forgot to, after watching it, I should have made mention, and I'll do this in the second video, of how you show them how you roll the frames from the bottom to the top and from the top to the bottom, and do that every 7 to 10 days. So, yeah, it took me. That was a long. I tried to do that video, I think 3 or 4 times, and I liked the fact that I had the other Demaree sitting right there.
Yeah.
And then I tried to. It was over half an hour long. And I tried to cut it down as much as possible, but I didn't. I wanted everybody to see what the process was as far as moving frames around and how I rebuilt the brood chamber and everything.
Yep.
The first time, I mean, when you do it, it's a little bit, what would you say, labor intensive, time intensive.
Yeah, labor intensive.
Labor intensive when you get it set up, and then you can go back and forth by just rotating the frames around, and then it's not quite as bad.
Yep. Evening, Will. How are you?
Hey guys, today? Happy birthday, Bill.
You had to do that, didn't you? But see, what we didn't announce Friday night was Will's birthday. So we can all wish him a belated birthday.
Yeah, we're April babies.
Yeah. 2 days of each other.
Yep.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody. I appreciate it.
Charlie, that's a lot to stuff into one video. You know what
it is. Yeah, it's a long. It could turn into a longer video than what you planned for.
Well, my complaint is the fact that I should have, when that second box was on there, and when I had that hole in the middle, I should have took that inner cover and shook all them bees down into that bottom box.
Yep.
Shook all the other bees off like I did, then put your queen excluder on, honey super, in the top brood box, and and all that kind of stuff. But
But all in all, Charlie, it was a good instructional video.
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, and then the next video I want to show how that's where the hive lifter comes in. You can move that top part as a unit, get in the bottom, go through the bottom right quick,
Yep.
and always have that extra box off to the right to be able to have a place to put your frames without getting them in the grass and stuff. Thanks, Sandy.
What do you think about when you break into a colony like that to get her pushed down underneath in the bottom box, with, a frame or however many frames of brood and empty comb, and getting her under there and just leaving it and then coming back and putting your supers in? You know what I mean? Kind of break it up or something maybe. Because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go through, you know what I mean, and do it myself. And I'm trying to decide, do I get her with the frame of brood or 2 frames of brood, whatever, and the empty comb down under?
You'll be there forever trying to find her.
Yeah.
When I look,
or just shake them all down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I'm getting
I
at
got
is,
no issue with that.
look at that. When I opened that hive up, look how many bees were on top of the inner cover.
Yep.
I mean, it was a sea of bees, and that's the kind of hive you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've had hives even stronger than that 2 years ago when I first did Apis Biologic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a big believer on that. Hey, Joey. And
Joe.
all right,
I was just trying to figure out how to make it up in digestible pieces.
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
I wanted to show you the whole scenario because
the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now's the time to be, as soon as this crappy weather gets over with, it'll be time to do it for sure.
I know. I got 2 tough cold days coming right now, guys.
Yeah, we got 3 or 4 coming.
This whole darn week was
a mess.
Forget
Between rain and cold. Yeah.
Yep. Rainy and cold a whole week.
Yep.
But
the trees are popping. You know what I mean? Holy cow. Everything's
that's popping. A good thing.
Well, my main thing is when I go in there, the first thing I do, I'm looking for those brood frames. That's why I got the box off to the right. I go in there and I cherry pick all them frames up. All right, I got the first box done. The rest of it is just whatever. Take that box off, put it over there on top of upside down lid to catch all the bees. That aluminum bench over there is a back saver.
Yeah.
All right, now go into the next box. Cherry pick out all the brood. Put it over here to the right. Pick that box up, put it over there on top of an upside down extra lid. Then go into the bottom box and do the same thing. And as like I said in the video, or showed in the video, I knew I had open brood frames in that second box that I laid, I put back over here out of the way. So then start taking all those brood frames and plug up the holes, as I call it, in that bottom box. Then take the second box, put it back on, take the top box, whatever's left in that. It might be some open brood like I had in there. Put all that back into that second box. And then the rest of it was either honey. I had a lot of people talk, oh, you're taking pollen frames out. But when you got 3 or 4 of them in there, there's a lot of pollen here, there, and everywhere. Then it's like, that's pollen bound. I look at that as a nuisance because I want a place for that queen to lay eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And I want as much laying area for her as much as possible. And
hey, do you have all your Demaree set up now that you're going to set up?
No, I got like the highs out there on the end of that video, or behind me there, where the yellow one is at the end. There's about 4 or 6 of them. I think between 4 and 6 of them there. That population's okay, but I am very disappointed in the amount of brood. It's brood frames.
Oh yeah,
in there, and I'm like, okay.
So they're not ready yet, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of bees, but I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, what is it? Is it because I had a cold February and March and continuing into April? Or do I have a queen issue here like I did last spring? I'm looking for frames of brood. And some of those, I watched that video there and I'm looking at that frame. Then, oh, look at this frame here. And I'm like, that's got a shotgun pattern on it. I mean,
I think our queens are hard on us because I think these older queens, not only did I have trouble losing them, but I think they brood up slower, in the spring.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
When
They have a harder time getting going coming out of the winter.
Yeah, I think that's some of what I'm dealing with on a bunch of my production hives.
Yep.
When are you going to try and get in them, or you think you're going to wait a week or so till you try and, because they're a smaller population?
I didn't get them this week, and or last weekend I didn't get into them. I actually went in Saturday afternoon and just kind of did a little bit of a peek type thing, and I'm kind of going, I'm rolling through the frames a little bit, and I don't know. I looked at them and I'm like, the more I looked at them, the more irritated I got. And they're just not where I want them to be.
Right. Now, Nancy had a good point. They could be cannibalizing in the cold during these little short cold snaps.
That's true.
Yep.
So
the ones that are Demaree are the ones that are super strong.
Yep.
And guess what? They're the ones that I got a paper note on there. Graft. They're my grafters.
Yep.
Especially that one that I got into, the one that had already been Demaree. That is really definitely a super strong hive. And that was one of my better hives all through the wintertime. So I want to graft off of her. So, but I'm looking at brood pattern, and they're not like, there's nice brood frames compared to the rest of the hives, but they're not great brood frames. They're not carpet brood, as I call it. And like everybody's saying here tonight, it's the weather. It's the weather. I'm hoping it is, because I'm ready to requeen. If it ever warms up.
I had to requeen one Saturday, and I went in. I hated to do it. She was a nice, pretty red mahogany color, beautiful looking queen. But I put her on my finger, and she was just moving as slow as she could move, and it was 80 degrees outside. She wasn't in a hurry to get anywhere, so I went and just squished her.
Well, what was her brood like? Nothing.
Shotgun patterns. Nothing really solid. No good solid clumps of brood. It was just hit or miss here and there.
Yeah, she's worn out.
Yeah, she was done. And she was only 2 years old.
Yeah, I honestly think I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait a couple weeks until I think about Demaree and anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, right
now.
With
what I'm seeing.
Right, I'm looking at it. Right now, this week, no way. Because if you put that brood up there and they don't go up, you're going to chill all that brood.
Yep. That isn't going to help your population get bigger when you kill all that brood.
No.
Yep, that's right.
And I can't believe the insanity.
I probably won't do Demarees until probably sometime between the 3rd and the 10th of May.
That's what I'm struggling with, is I'm going to do Demarees, right there first, second week of May.
Yep.
Is usually when mine are starting to scream.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the weather for the rest of the month, and we don't start getting really any warm nights until the last week of April. So,
but it's driving me crazy because the trees are going. They're bringing in nectar. They're bringing in pollen.
Oh yeah, they're bringing it in.
Yeah, I agree with Matt there. February put us back several weeks.
It did. It put us back at least a month.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Well, I'll tell you, the social media stuff, though, there's people talking in Pennsylvania. They want to split. They're going to split. They're splitting. They're doing this. It's like, holy cow!
They're
With the
killing
temperatures,
bees.
it's like, man, I'd be scared to death. And then they're saying,
Yep.
like, I don't know, north of 80 is going to get snow here over the next, maybe tonight. It's like, whew,
Yeah. Now,
28, 30 degrees.
my brother lives in Vermont, and they're supposed to get snow tonight, tomorrow, and the next morning, Thursday morning. So, or Wednesday morning, excuse me. So it's still cold.
Yeah. Charlie, do you have to have the microphone that you pin on your hat to turn your GoPro on and off? Is that what you told me on that?
Once you connect it to your media mod,
Yep.
You connect that receiver to the media mod, and then you have to have your microphone on, and then you can talk to your camera.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was watching your videos, and I was watching where you had your hands. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was figuring, well, if he's got his hands right there, then he's not reaching out and hitting a button or doing anything like that. It's working for him. And I thought it was the microphone.
It's all, yeah. I mean, I had a guy tell me that, and I went and downloaded or watched the GoPro instructional manual online you can get, and it tells you the different phrases. I have a hard time. It's GoPro shut down, or I say turn off sometimes. It's shut down, I think.
Okay.
Is the one that turns the camera off.
I was surfing around. So
I have it where it says, when I'll say GoPro, start recording. And then they go beep, 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 beep. And then you can watch on the screen on the body of the camera. It'll start rolling seconds, or I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
It gives you like 5 or 6 seconds.
Well, it'll just keep counting off.
Yep.
It'll tell you how many minutes you've been filming while I don't look at it, but I wait 3 seconds and then I start talking because I want a tail on that video.
Yeah.
I can cut. And then I'll say, GoPro, stop recording. And hey, Ryan. And I'll say, please, whatever. I said, well, let's go ahead into the other hive. And then I'll wait 3 or 4 seconds. And then I'll tell it to stop recording. And that way I can cut that off when I'm editing.
You can trim it to where you want it.
You can trim it.
Yeah.
Because what you'll find is you need to trim it, but just a second or two more before when you tell the camera to shut down. Because if you don't and you put your transitioning there, you'll hear me. For some reason, the recording sort of is still there, even though you cut it out.
Yeah.
So you have to cut it a little bit more farther ahead of time.
Yep.
So anyway, but that's how the camera thing works. It's for me, for being instead of me walking around and I can sit there and voice command it, it really works well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Clay's done splits here in Virginia, down near Lynchburg, and when he did his splits, he used the double screen boards, which
that's a whole different animal there. Then
yeah, which this time of year, that's great.
That's a way to do it. Yeah.
That's the way to do it this time of year, because now you've got 2 hives set up. They're just using each other for warmth, right? Separate entrances, front and back. So that's a great way to do it, because now he can build that hive up on top and move it off of there onto a regular bottom board. Now he's got another hive already ready to go, ready for production. So that's the way to do it, Clay, this time of year, because you just can't really do splits right yet, because it's even in the 3rd week of April, we're looking at a bunch of 30-degree nights again. So this year's been challenging so far. Now next month in May, it's looking pretty good. So
Now, Charlie, when I don't mean to bounce on you guys, but when you did your Demaree, did you put like a merging brood down there, or did you put just a brood frame
Down where?
down with a queen in the bottom box?
I put everything down there that wasn't totally capped. And most of those frames that I showed on that video, there was a lot of pollen surrounding. So what was capped, I'm going to say they were pretty much 98, 99%. There wasn't any open anything because there was a lot of darn old pollen.
yeah.
Okay. So it was all capped brood at a minimum.
Pretty much,
Put
yeah.
down
Everything when I the stuff I put upstairs out of the bottom is all cap brood.
Yeah, Clay, because of the way you did it, you're not going to see any swarm cells yet. So you've given them their false swarm, and now you won't see swarm cells for a while unless they get that wild hair again and need some more space.
And David there, he's up in North Michigan. They're still getting probably snow, no maple tree. Yeah, you're probably at least a month behind us.
Yeah, Roy said earlier that they were supposed to get snow in the peninsula again. So I'm sure the bees up there are really, really confused right now.
Well, I mean, even here, like you say, all day today it was misty rain and rain.
Yep.
Right now it's 40 degrees, and it was pretty much 45 at the most today. And it's kind of like that all this week per se, and some rain at the latter part of the week.
Well,
and I don't see where the bees are going to really make any swarms cells.
no. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're calling for rain all 3 days.
Now, Ryan says he's a little bit further along than I am. Yeah, Ryan. I mean, you were talking about what's the purple flower in the fields?
Dead nettle.
Dead nettle. And I just looked up here. Since we've gotten some rain, they're in that new patch of hay that we planted. My son planted last year. There's a big patch of dead nettle up there, and it's just coming in the last week.
Yeah. Where did he get his seed from for that patch?
The hay and stuff, he got it from the local Southern States place, I guess.
Yeah, if he looks at the tag on that bag, a certain percentage of it is unknown seed. So
yeah,
that's probably what was in it. Was dead nettle.
I'm still pulling candy boards and unwrapping them.
Yeah, because I mean, Ryan talked about after 10 days he had draw and comb on a foundation. I don't think I had any kind of flow like that coming in. Yesterday's okay. You need to call me tomorrow, Ryan. All right. Kind of thumbing
The ones I've been in stopped taking pollen patty too.
Well,
yeah,
we've had pollen coming in for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because maple started to bloom 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm pulling pollen patties out when
those
I find
those ones that blooms back then, I think are now they're starting. I'm starting to see trees across the road are getting a little bit of a bud clean, or kind of like a green thing. I need a thin syrup. Yeah.
It's a little too cold beef eating thin syrup still, especially at night.
I don't know. I think it's like it was 3 or 4 years ago. It was February of that year was warm as toast, and then it plummeted in March, April.
Yeah.
All the way until 1st of May, it seemed like.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you what, when May hit, Man, they were swarming like crazy in May.
Yeah, I put my pollen patties up, I don't know, a month ago.
Yeah.
When I seen it, it was one day, it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, and it was 70 degrees. I could start to see some pollen coming in. I was going to put pollen patties on that weekend, and I didn't, and that was the end of that. But anyway, that's I've got some supers on, Ryan, but not on all of them, and I'm not sure. It's like, say, this week is going to be crap, and I'm like, I don't want to open them up too much. And Mike Air says 34 degrees. It's going to get down and around freezing here tomorrow night or something like that.
Yeah, the next 2 nights.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Of course, I got bee packages coming tomorrow, and the high tomorrow is going to be 42, and it's going to be 24 degrees tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm picking them up Friday. I'm hoping it'll just be after, hopefully it starts to turn.
Yeah, you just got to deal with the rain coming back.
Yeah, got to keep them inside the bee or inside the store.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. Well, packages are going out tomorrow as well, so I'm picking them up in the morning and bring them back to the store. I'm gonna bring them back in an enclosed trailer because it's going to be just way too cold to put them in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. That's the thing with them. You can't. They'll chill.
Yep, they will. So have you gotten when are you going to Georgia, Charlie?
I have no idea. I haven't got a call. Hopefully it ain't going to be this week.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it may be sometime after next Wednesday when my brother gets back.
Yeah.
But Ryan wants to know whether the cold will delay swarming. I think it will.
I think it will too. It'll slow them down. If it doesn't, it should slow them down quite a bit. You can do dry pollen sub in the late summer, but you're also going to have to put some liquid feed on them too, so they have some semblance of something like nectar coming in. That'll build them up quick as well. I haven't heard that about the open feeding in California.
What was that?
Right there. I haven't heard anything about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, Peabody, my bees are slow. I was in them here the other day. I got into a few of them, some singles and some double deeps, and they only had 3 or 4 frames of brood in them, and 5-6 frames of bees was all. So they're moving really slow.
Yeah.
So Chris, where are you located at? Chris Combs. Is he out that way? Or?
Is he California?
I don't know where he's at. Where are you from, Chris?
It must be because he wants to do almond pollination on February the 15th.
Well, when he's saying that you can't open feed in California.
Yeah. What do you do? Calculate for each hive treatment cost. Yes. We had this question the other night, and we had it calculated down to where if you take a large box of Former Pro with 30 treatments in it, it's $140 a box. And you take that and divide that by the number of hives you got, or take that 140 and divide it by 30, that gives you price per pad. And then you break that down to the number of, he's 120 miles north of Los Angeles. You break that down, multiply that by the number of hives that you have, and that gives you your Formic Pro cost. What is it? 14 ounces of OA is $30. So divide that 30 by 14, and that'll give you your approximate cost for OA. And then ApiGuard, you have to make a decision on whether it's going to be more cost effective to use the little tins or buy the tub and use the tub with the pads. So we decided to use the tub here. So you break that down, that number, and you got to figure out how many doses you can get out of that tub, and then you get your price per hive.
What is it? A 50 gram dose out of ApiGuard or something like that?
20,
on a double deep?
I figure it's 25.
2 at 25.
Figure
Yeah.
100. Figure 4 doses per hive.
So, Chris, if you've only got 3 hives, then I would take the Formic Pro and get a 2-dose pack, which has 4 caches in it. And there's your treatment there for your hives. That's $19. And then you could get away with using Mike's Bees tablets for those hives, because there's 50 tablets to a bag. So you could use those in your vaporizer instead of the loose acid, which those are actually cheaper than the loose acid. And then for your ApiGuard, get the 10 dose, the 10 pack, and you've got enough there for 3 doses in that. So you're coming out ahead. You're actually coming out ahead on the treatments. So, but look up your local supplier's price.
Well, I know one thing: they can't get the tub in California.
Oh, well, then they're going to have to use the tins, the 10 pack.
Unless you have an applicator's license, believe it or not.
Oh,
really?
Right.
Wow.
Anything multi-dose, you got to have a pesticide applicator's license.
You know something though, Charlie? I look for everybody to do that. Every state to do it.
Yeah, but it's thymol. I mean, it's not a drug.
I get it. But, you know, it's I
don't know, Chris, you're going to have to talk to Todd out there. He's out in Fresno.
Yeah.
And kind of ask him what to do. He's not on here tonight that I know of.
Yeah.
All 30 hives right now.
30 hives right now. So you're going to end up making out in the long run. I know in Virginia there is the flash treatment. You have to have an applicator's license to even buy it in Virginia.
Talking about
the flash treatment, it comes in, it looks like a grease gun.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah, to even buy it, you have to have an applicator's license. And when that came out with that, that's what it was going to be. Then for that, I looked for the state of Virginia to do multi-dose treatments, kind of like California's doing them. So, yeah, I can understand that, Chris.
I can't. It's California.
Yeah, well, Loma Vista, open feed in California when feeding any form of food. It is allowed. So
Yeah.
Todd,
Yeah, Chris Loma
Chris
Vista.
Combs has got a question about OA out there in California. So if you could kind of correspond with him a little bit there, Todd, that would be great, and answer his questions about California. John who? Sullivan?
So, Bill, you got queens and you got packages coming.
I got queens already. They've been banked. They're getting picked up Tuesday.
Okay.
Where'd they come from?
California. They're Valley girls from the West Coast.
When are your nukes starting to show up?
Who? I'm not getting any nukes this year.
Oh, aren't you? Just packages and queens.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to have your not a commercial applicator's license, but a private applicator. It's not a bad idea to have it anyway, because you never know what you're going to need. You know what I mean?
No, it's just another hoop.
Yeah.
Jump.
I mean, I sit in a class once a year.
Government's too big.
I sit in a class once a year for 2 hours. And that's my CE, and it automatically renews. So,
but I don't know. It just, I can see it. Like if you're spraying, your cornfields with certain products and whatever, I get that because a lot of things can happen. But
that's true.
With beekeeping, you're putting it inside of a box in that one hive. And I mean, let's face it, people do what they want to do today now anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So, I don't know. I'm not, I'll say you get kind of tired of government regulation.
Yeah, you do.
Anyway.
Have you guys heard any updates from the Easy Ox guys on selling the bigger packages and doing the OA strips or anything?
Nope.
Man, I'm sure they got their hands full with them guys.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Mike might be on later tonight.
Let's see.
So have you been out and looked at your bees much, Will?
I just got started. I've been fighting a little bit of a stomach plague since I got back, and I'm just starting to get on my feet. But I got through. I was cleaning out my dead outs, getting them ready to drop packages in them, and got through a couple singles and a couple doubles, and they're just not ready. They're nowhere near ready for now. That's 2 yards. I got 3 more to go through, but
So you got the stomach virus.
Yeah, I was fighting a stomach bug there, coming back across the country, and I'm just getting back on my feet now, to tell you the truth.
Well, is it Gray's bees?
Gary's bees.
And Gary's bees. Will's got one. I don't think.
Yeah, I've got one. Bill, do you have a lifter?
No.
You're the lifter.
I'm the lifter. Yep, I
Man.
am the lifter.
I don't know what their prices are now, Gary.
Yeah, there's going to be a tariff on it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I got mine just ahead of it. I slid through. Charlie knows I was sweating that one.
Yeah, you were. No doubt in my mind you were sweating that.
Yeah,
Good night,
that
Nancy.
slid through.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just, you know, I have to, it's like talking about the bees. I just have to just calm down and just bide my time until the weather changes.
Yeah,
Yep.
when I was in and I saw that, I just pumped the brakes on everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah, you're right. They need to move production to the United States.
Yep.
I don't think Boris is going to do that.
I don't think so either.
Not when they're homemade,
Yeah.
but good homemade. Not bad.
Yeah. Well, you had yours, what, 4 or 5 years now?
In about a year. I'm only on my second year with it.
Oh, really?
I bought it last year. It took me 2 years to make my mind up, but
I got to see how I'm going to have to juggle hives around so I can slide into the back of the stands to have enough clearance. You know what I mean? You talked about that, Charlie, that having 10 feet, you know, one way or the other on them so you can get in and out with them.
yeah, did you get that?
Yeah, Dave, we're talking about the hive lifter. Gary's Bees wants to know what y'all paid for your hive lifter.
I think I paid $12.50.
Delivered $16.50.
Yeah, and then it was a couple $100 for shipping. Yeah,
$250 for shipping or something. It was about $16.50.
Yeah,
But I don't know what it is now.
yeah.
Yeah, he said 1680 earlier.
Did
Well, that's not that different then.
the family over there next to you, Bill, in the mountains get one? I think they were pretty serious about it.
They were looking at it. I don't know if they ordered it or not.
They were right on the wire.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My big thing is I just need
$250 for shipping charge. And he said 1680 includes a shipping charge of $250.
not bad. Still about the same
Yeah,
price.
if you can still get it for that, I would think you're doing good.
Yeah.
A couple guys I know got a call from Martin that their nukes are ready this weekend, Bill.
Yeah, he was talking about it while I was up there.
Was he?
Yeah. Because I went up there Saturday and picked up those other boxes that I needed.
Has electric wheels. Yeah, Chris, I've there's a bunch, you know, that's something about when it comes to beekeeping. Over in Europe, they move bees all the time, it seems like. And you can go over there, they have some really professional looking powered, you know, the wheels that you're on your dolly are powered and everything like that. And it raises up and puts it on some kind of a truck and all that. And but this is about as cheap as I could find, and it was the most it fit my beekeeping, you know, and I got flat ground and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you can do a modified dolly. A friend of mine had that, and you know, he was going to go cheap. Going to do the hand crank winch thing. Now, after he got it, after using it 2 or 3 times before, I made a mistake there.
Yep.
And then he got it, and the wheels weren't really the bigger the diameter of the wheel, the better off you are.
Yep.
He had to really modify. Here he bought this thing for, I forget how many $100s, and then he had to go through and spend a bunch of money to get it to where it really worked properly.
That's an easy trap to fall into.
It is.
Well, I mean, a lot of people give me a lot of grief by waiting around, but I talked to Mike Barry 2 years in a row at Hive Life and Nobby, and I guess it was last year when I went in January and seen Mike, and I kind of questioned him again about this and about that, and he said, well, you're setting escapes, or if you're doing this or doing that. And he said it's ideal for that. And that's when after talking to him that day, that's when I came home after the Nobby and I ordered the thing. And I talked to James out in Alberta, Canada, and he talked about the wheel width, make sure to, mention this and that about the wider the wheel stance, the better or more stability and all that kind of stuff. Chris, what are you doing? Voice command? Because your AI voice is not working very well.
No, it's not.
Beekeeper in Australia brought one from somewheres.
Oh,
It's another language, but I can't make sense of it.
yeah.
So, like I say, after talking to Mike, I went ahead and bought it, and I've been happy ever since. That's two things that I've bought in beekeeping. One's a bottling tank, heated bottling tank with a no drip valve, or a one drip valve, as I call it, and the Hive lifters. Two best buys I've ever bought. David, he built his own. Well, if you're crafty, you're in good shape.
Oh. After a stroke, eyes and fingers don't always line. That's true. That's very true, Chris. So where are you at with dipping, Will?
It's too cold right now, I think. I'm waiting for the weather to clear up, get a little bit warmer, get a little nicer. I got to get these packages in. I'm going to pick up the packages Friday. I'm going to get them in, but I'm getting closer for sure, because I think I'm going to have a week or two after I put these packages in, then the ones that I'm going to Demaree are going to be out a little bit. So I'm hoping I don't think it's going to happen this weekend, but I'm hoping next week sometime maybe start to play with it a little bit.
David, the only way you can share a picture or show a picture is that I know is to come in on the live chat and then use the present button in order to do that. Or email it to Bill.
I'm trying to decide, Bill, too, that tank's empty. There's a little bit of old wax residue that's in it that looks like it's burned. I think the guy I got it from was trying to run it too hot. So I was thinking about putting some water in it and just boiling it off. And then I was trying to decide. I have some gear that I was trying to decide, do I just fill that thing up with water and a little bit of Clorox and cook some of this uglier gear that I have, you know what I mean, to clean it up. While I'm filling it up with water and getting the old crap the old burn wax out of it and stuff. I don't know that. I mean, it would be a good tank for, I don't know if I want to say sanitizing, but cleaning up some of that old gear certainly too.
Well, you could always use it for QNAP,
For a what?
copper naphthalate dip.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I was just thinking, water and Clorox and just sterilize, cook some stuff out, but we'll see. A lot of guys just turn them off and let them solid full of wax
Yeah, that's what a
until the
lot of
next
people
time they
do.
do them.
Yeah.
Well, did y'all watch a video from Bob Benny of that copper or something?
I
or
did.
something?
I was just talking about it.
Boy, wasn't that something? Whew.
Yep.
What is that stuff and what does it do?
Copper naphthalate. That's what turns the treated lumber green. You can buy that stuff by
Yep.
the gallon.
I use 1 part of QNAP, 2 parts of pure linseed oil or raw linseed oil, and 6 parts of mineral spirits. And you have to do it when it's cool outside and there's no wind blowing.
No, you won't wind because the fumes are wicked.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a little bit of wind.
Yeah, you need some air moving or else you're going to
Yep.
gas yourself dipping them.
Right. But you don't want it to be hot outside. You want it to be cooler outside.
I mean, Bob's the godfather of all this, but man, doing that and then letting them set for what, 6 months, and then painting them.
I don't think he lets them sit 6 months. I think he only lets them sit 3 or 4 months.
Is that all it
outside.
is?
Yeah. And then he paints them.
You know what? I'm not going to say nothing until I dip a couple boxes and know.
The other thing I said to that, commented on that video, I says, the dipping man, he needs to wear eye protection and a face shield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he ought to have a full respirator.
All what it take is a small little splash,
Yep.
and he's bad news.
Well, see, they're also using the oil base QNAP, not the water base.
And he's saying the oil base was less nasty, I guess.
And the oil base is less toxic than the water base.
That's a mind bender there.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know if that affects using a oil-based paint or if you can use latex or what that. I don't know what, if they interact or not.
So
I don't know.
basically, it's the same product as pressure treated.
Yeah, except there's no pressure on it.
Well, it's the same product they treat lumber with. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
You're exposing your bees to that stuff.
Yeah, put that in your wax dipper there, Will. Let somebody come and show up with a bunch of those dip boxes like that and put them in your wax dipper. See what happens.
I inadvertently made a bunch of migratory lids out of treated lumber one time. What a mess that turned out to be.
Oh, I bet.
Because then they shrunk, because you know how wet the treated lumber is. I can only imagine. I took them to a local guy here and was going to have him dip them, and he dipped a couple of them, but they were such a mess when you put them in the dipping tank because how much moisture's in them, and that's the idea. You're boiling all them. Well, they started to twist, and they ended up being a mess. So I let them dry out for about 6 or 8 months, and then I just painted them.
Yep.
But they shrunk up and they turned to crap on me.
I'm sure they did.
Lesson learned.
Yep. I mean, pressure treated lumber, just the lumber itself, you put it on a deck and look what happens on a deck. It shrinks.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Imagine what it does at bee hive.
Well, and this was just migratory covers. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine making a box out of it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just painted the boxes and
Do you keep them strapped all the time too, Charlie? I'm just looking behind you.
yeah, Brian's down Mississippi, or a lot warmer. Yeah, I used to put blocks and bricks, and then you have all that heavy weight to deal with.
Yep.
Yep.
I still have some of them, and then I'd put a brick on there when it first started. And we get a tremendous amount of windstorms, you know, as far as windstorms or heavy rainstorm, it'll pick that migratory lid, pick it right off and throw it right out in the darn field.
Really? Oh my God.
So then I had nukes and I'd stack them, you know, like skyscrapers, I always called them. I'd be double deeps, triple deeps, quadruple deeps.
With a 5-frame nuke.
Yep.
Yeah, 5-frame.
I bet them bitches would blow over.
And I had them. I had a group of them, 4 of them. We had a win. Instead of coming behind the barn where the barn would protect, it was going down the line that way. And I
Oh Lord.
I had Mr. Domino effect.
Mm.
Luckily, it only got 3 or 4 of them in one rack, because then I had a space in between racks. And then after that, it's like, okay, I'm going to Home Depot and buy multiple pack strapping packs. So everybody's got a strap. I know, you know, it's strapped to the rack on the ground, and works out. It works for me.
I must have 1 million of those orange freaking ratchet straps from, what is it, the Northern Tool or whoever it is.
I get mine at Home Depot, and it depends. And I look about the length of them, because when you're doing honey supers and there's a skyscraper, you need a long one to go up there.
Yeah. Well, when I'm storing stuff in the basement, I put it all on a furniture dolly so I can roll it around. And I have to make little extensions out of like 550 paracord or something, because it won't go, you know, 2 boxes side by side, 9 high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had them. My racks. I had eye rings, I guess you call them.
Yep.
Eye bolts.
Eye bolts.
I was going to do it that way, which I've used it occasionally like that. But then it got to the point where, shoot, all that money I spent on eye bolts, I can just wrap around the cross members that are. I've got them divided there. I got a cross member where you can sit hives and wrap around that cross member, and I just do it that way.
Yeah, you could do that.
The eye bolts get in the way of sliding things sideways and all that kind of stuff.
I made some hive stands out of, it was 2x10s, and they're 12 feet long. And then I had a 6x6 bolted across underneath them. And then I'd have, 2x10s, a couple of them in throughout. And I actually put the little metal, hurricane clips on to hold the bottom board. And then I could get screws into the top box. But boy, what a mess that is. I got 1 million screws to take out every time I want to slide or rack something side to side.
I'm not going to do that.
That shit's all coming off. Lesson learned.
My hive stands, I build myself. They're 1.5 inches by 5.5. They're kind of like a 2x6.
Yep.
Store-bought 2x6. And I got the dimensions of them, and start out with the inboard and then space those inside spacers out.
Yeah.
Yep. And I forget, they're like, I got them set up for 2 high. I want them just for 2 10 framers. And I think they're like 7 feet long, something like that.
Yeah, I made them. They're 12 feet long. You know what I mean? And then I got 2 pieces of 6x6 underneath them, and I made them wide enough that I can set a frame, in between the stringers, running lengthwise.
Yeah.
But here I am. I let the 6x6 extend, 8 or 10 inches out past the stringer on each side. Well, now getting the wheels in to use that hive lifter, I'm going to have to move stuff around so I can get the wheels in to lift that stuff because of the overhang of the 6x6.
How much overhang you got?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I probably got, 8 inches at least of 6x6 sticking out, past the side runners that everything sits on. I mean, they're, you can hit them with a tractor and you're not going to knock them over. You're not going to hurt them, but they're awful damn heavy. You got to move them with a tractor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
My hive stands are 18 by 7 foot overall size.
Okay.
18 inches. So I need, 2.5 inches, a 5.5, a 7 foot boards for the long boards. I need 5.5 inches, a 5.5 by 15 inch cross boards going in between the 2 long boards. And spacing, I got it at, you got the end board right at the end, then 20 inches in, 41 inches, and 62. And then
Well,
the
Charlie, you got all the tools up there to make your own lumber.
Well, that's what I do. I make these stands.
Yep.
And what it is, the spacing in between the 2 hives, I can put 2 telescoping lids in there where I can set boxes. It's designed to me to put my boxes on that rack so it lifted it up off the ground. Then here last year or two, a couple years, I got that aluminum bench, which brings it, 16 inches, 18 inches up off the ground. I don't have to bend over so far. I can put 2 lids on that very easily, like I show in my videos. Yep. And it's maybe 10 pounds, maybe that thing weighs, because it's aluminum. And then, when I get tired, I can sit down on my bench too.
There you go.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. Backing screws out, moving them, trying to align them, shift them side to side. Mine takes each one of those stands that I built. Like I say, I don't know if I'm going to build any more, but each one took 3 2 by 10 by 12 feet. So I end up cutting one to be my spacers in between, and then one front, one back, and then 6 by 6 by 8 foot whacked in half underneath it. So it's a little overkill. And what did you say yours weighs 17 pounds, Charlie?
This table.
Mine don't weigh 17 pounds.
No, 10 pounds.
10 pounds. Okay.
That aluminum bench.
Oh, that's right. Your aluminum bench. I'm sorry.
Aluminum bench is about 10 pounds.
Yeah, Dwayne Lamb down here in Newmarket, he puts his ground fabric down and he makes it a 4-way pallet into a 2-way pallet. Pretty good idea.
Yeah, I use carpet, but ground fabric is just as good.
Yep.
Have you guys ever found with putting something like that down that you get a bunch of ankle biters out of that? I picked up a bunch of bees one time, and a guy had ground cloth down, and man, I never seen bees that were ankle biters like that. Whew.
I put now underneath of those rows that I've got, I've got plastic down, put the box down, filled the box with gravel, and leveled it off. So it's worked out very well.
Yeah, I have stone underneath most of them, and any of mine that are sitting low, I have stone underneath them.
Yep.
And I'm going to master mixing up, what is it, Dawn dish soap and vinegar and something else to spray to keep the weeds down, I think.
Salt.
Salt.
Vinegar and salt will do it. You don't need the Dawn dish.
Okay.
Well, you can use the Dawn as a sticky,
Yeah.
as a sticker, but it's not really necessary because it's going to go straight to the root.
Yeah, I made a bunch of two-way pallets last year. I have one yard sitting on two-way pallets. They're pretty. That ain't bad at all. And they're sitting in stones, so. I'm going to make a bunch of four-way pallets this year. I got to sort through what I'm going to use for,
How many bees are you putting in a yard?
What's this?
How many bees are you putting in any one yard?
I haven't had more than 30 so far. Now I'm down significantly from that now. I mean, I'm probably in the teens in my bigger yards right now, but I hate to get over about 24 if I can help it.
There's a girl down in Virginia Beach that is doing, she's going to have out yards. She's doing mostly honey production instead of bee production. She's not putting any more than 4 to 6 beehives per yard.
Wow. Is that because of what they have forage wise, or?
Yeah, because she's looking at what's in the area for them to forage. So she's not doing any more than 4 to 6 per yard.
One thing I started to do last year is when I really made my splits and when I really had small colonies and when I was, really trying to mate bees, I have a little nursery yard where I bring them to that's real close to the house, that there's no big colonies there to beat up on them, or that's my delusional thought, if you will. And I think I'm going to push real hard on that. Every time I make splits, I'm going to pull them from the big yards and bring them down to my nursery yard. And then when they graduate, I'll roll them back out to the other yards is what I'm thinking right now.
There you go.
Gary, I was looking, I was going to try to formulate some type of hand truck to move those two-way pallets around. I kind of abandoned that thought at this point. I ended up picking up a skid steer with a set of forks on it, and I'm probably going to start to graduate more towards four ways because I can now I can move stuff around with a skid steer.
Now, Russell, he wanted to know how much that bench cost. It says on I got it at Harbor Freight, $65, but watch for the sales. And I think I paid maybe, I don't know, 35 or 40 bucks for it. They'll have sales. They got sales every week, it seems like.
Have you ever seen how some of those guys make what they call a quiet box, where they'll have a 10-frame box with a like rubber cover that you can put over top of it?
Yep. The bee club here in town uses them religiously and they love them.
Okay. Because you could probably take that aluminum stand and do something, just have a box with a cover, with a rubber, cover over it or something, screen on the bottom.
They use a 5-frame box.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And
a lot of times I'll set my plastic nuke boxes out and I'll have a couple of them sitting there. And when I'm getting into them, if that gives me a flexible spot to put stuff.
Yeah. They take out the first 2 or 3 frames of the hive they're working on.
Yep.
and put them in a quiet box, and then they take a cover and put over the hive that they're working, and they roll it back, take a frame out, check it, put it back over to the edge closest to them, roll the cover back for a couple seconds, and then roll it back over and pull another frame, check it, move it in, cover it, roll it back. It's a lot of extra work, but it works very well. Bees stay a lot calmer.
I'll do that when somebody needs help and they think they have a hot hive.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll pull a box off and I'll take it away from the hive to work it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That usually settles things down a little bit.
Yeah, because you can cover them back up.
Yep. What I ought to do is I have a bunch of those canvas, like soft covers. You know what I mean? And if I were to, they work really nice. The only thing is, if there's any wind at all, it blows them off. Where if I would just take and sew something in the edges of them to give them a little bit of weight, you know, you could, if I had 3 or 4 of them, boy, that'd be nice to just drop over top of stuff as you're working it.
Yeah, they had some made, and the ones on the nuke boxes, they attached one end of it to the nuke box.
Okay.
The other end, they folded the material up, sewed it up on one end, and filled it full of sand, and then sewed the other end.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Roy wants to know if you have a picture of that stand from Harbor Freight, Charlie.
I don't know if I can see if I can do that.
This is where the man, the myth, the legend part comes in.
Yeah, exactly. He's looking for it, Roy. I'm sure he's got one.
Yeah, my girlfriend has one of those, and I kind of looked at it the first time she broke it out, and I kind of sneered at it a little bit. But boy, that damn thing's handy, and the legs adjust up and down on hers so that it can go higher or lower too.
Yep.
On what? On a bench?
On that little aluminum stand that you were talking about.
I found it. Let's see if we can get back here. Present. See if I can figure out how to do it. It's not a file.
Bring it up on your screen and share your screen.
I'm not sure how to do all that.
Yes, the suspense, Russell.
Is it a picture?
Oh, here we go. I just clicked on the wrong. Can you guys see it now?
Yeah.
You click on, there you go.
Yeah, it's like a catwalk.
Yeah, it's like you use it for like when you're doing spackling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's 12 inches by 40 inches long. And it's 20 inches up off the ground.
Yeah.
And it weighs 11 pounds. Like I said, 10. And right now it's $65, but you get on their website and tell them you want to get every week there's a sale going on, and you could probably get that thing for $30. I think Carl from 2 bee brats. I told him about it last year. He went there, and it's a lot of times they got coupons, $10 off and stuff. He bought 2 of them for him and his wife when they were out there working bees. Mother's Day's coming up. I guarantee you they will have for sale. Will have sales on that.
Yeah, and they have a member club thing that you can get discounts with and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, put in work stand. It's under ladders and work stands.
Yep, it's called a Franklin 40-inch lightweight aluminum work platform. Right now they've got it listed for $64.99.
But they always list under the deals tab.
Look at that. All kinds of deals. Shop all deals.
All right. What do we got here? Black Friday.
Clearance deals.
Franklin. What's Franklin got? We got a Franklin cart and hand trucks and dolly jacks and nothing there.
Yeah, but if you just watch, that thing will come up on sale.
Oh yeah, it will.
And that thing folds down flat, doesn't it, Charlie? Pretty much.
Yeah. Those legs. Yeah. The legs on the side of the legs, there's a little bracketage that it's spring loaded where you hook it across like a bolt sticking out, and that way the legs won't give out underneath of you. And then they'll swing down flat. And all that.
Yeah, workmate stand will work. Yep, it sure will. It'll definitely work.
Have you guys ever jumped down the rabbit hole of starting to make creamed honey at all?
No.
I don't.
Not yet.
I sell all the running honey I can get my hands on.
Yep.
I'm not going to go do any more extra work or buy any more machines.
Charlie, I don't blame you.
Well, why do it if you don't have to?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a lot of these guys, like Brian from Flower Street, different ones. Number one, I don't go out to fairs, festivals, or anything. They all come to me. I mean, I'm lucky. I got a sort of.
You got a good setup.
Well, I got a sawmill, which is sort of like a storefront.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a guy come in. I'm getting ready to where was I going? Getting ready to leave this afternoon around 4:45, and here's one of my firewood customers. I need 2 pounds of honey, at the end of the day. So I'm lucky in that respect. If you're going out to fairs and festivals, the rule of thumb is this: you got to have more than one product. You get to grab people's attention. Yep. So you need runny honey, you need creamed honey, you might need lip balm, candles, skin cream.
Hot honey looks really good, right? It's hot right now.
Hot honey, all those different things. The more stuff you have on your table, you'll draw the crowd in, the lookers.
It was interesting to listen to Brian talk about the vanilla honey that he made, I thought, Friday night. I think he talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, he did. He did talk about it. So, but you got to be careful where you're doing it at, because different states have different regulations. So,
Okay.
you got to be real careful.
Maryland, you can't do it unless you got a certain kind of license.
Yep. Virginia's the same way.
Certified kitchen or something.
Yep. Virginia, you got to have a certified kitchen, and you got to be licensed through VDACs.
Even to sell it, even for you to sell it retail yourself.
No, I can retail my own honey.
Yep.
I can sell it in a retail wholesale environment to be resold under the Virginia cottage laws.
Yep.
But once I hit that 2501 pound, 2,501 pound, that first pound that goes over, I got to be licensed.
Basically certified kitchen type thing.
Yep.
So Pennsylvania's kind of like that too.
Yep.
Yep.
So anyway, I mean, like, what was it? Good enough. Talked about his cream. Customers asked about creamed honey. That's good. I mean, if you have an area where your customers know what creamed honey is,
Yeah.
okay, because you go over here to the Maryland State Fair, I got creamed honey for sale. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic to dairy products.
Yeah. Exactly.
That ain't no BS.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I
So
believe that.
that's when you go and you say, I have honey spread, not creamed honey. Then they understand that terminology.
Got to use the right language.
People don't know. It's so old that nobody knows. It's lost its identity through the hasn't been around. I don't know. It's like years ago when I was a kid, we went up this one little country store, and there happened to be. It's a country store that had it was Ola Belle Reed, and she's passed away now, but you'll see things about her more in the folk business, folk life era, and musician and everything. Well, they had a store to make to make a living. In their young years, they played music all over the place in fairs and festivals and whatever. Her brother was a radio DJ. They had a radio sound booth, I guess you'd call it, in the store where he would play Saturday afternoon. The radio station was right there in the store.
That's cool.
And like my friend Danny, that I posted about being on Grand Ole Opry. Well, they all lived right around where all that was. And then back in when he was quite young, all these big country stars knew these people, and they would stop in. And of course, being on the radio was like being on television. Come on out, out to the Sunset Park,
yep.
and we're having a big Sunday afternoon country music show and stuff like that. But anyway, in the store they had kraut, and normally kraut is ground kraut, or it's sliced or something like that. I forget the way it was processed. And I said, well, and my mother's aunt or cousin was there. Oh, you can't find this in the stores around the normal stores. This was a store that kind of dealt in the old time way with old time stuff from certain places.
Okay.
And so, she bought that kind of stuff. But That's the same way. I mean, things get, it's like farm tools and stuff like that. You know, things that I don't even know what they're used for anymore because it's when, it was outdated. Nobody used, some things my mother had, like a husk and peg, where it actually had, I seen one was complete finally, where it actually had a leather sheath over your hand with a
Yep.
strap, and it had this hook on it. Like, yeah, well, instead of before the corn picker, you went out there and you put the corn up in shocks like you see in the pictures, and then you went out there in the fall, and that hook was used when you pulled your hand down like that. It pulled the husk off of the corn, and then you broke the corn ear off of the stalk, and then put it in a pile. And then, of course, when the corn picker came along, you didn't need to do any of that. It all did it by machine, and
Yep.
those tools were no longer made. And now if you find them, they're either antiques or people don't even know what they're used for or how they were used.
Yeah, and when you drug that thing down, you didn't want to slip, and you didn't want to come off the cob in the wrong direction, because it'll cut the hell out of you.
It lay you open.
Yep, it would.
But it's like that. It's the same thing about, creamed honey.
Yep.
It's just like combed honey. In some areas, it's more of it's what we used to do when we were kids. That's how we ate it. So we want to buy it for nostalgia.
Yeah.
And
Well-
other places don't even know what it is. So why would you want it that way for anyway?
It's
Yeah.
kind of funny because I've seen, maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen that you know how we talk about funny honey now, and that honey's not pure and this and that. There's a piece of the comb honey that goes back to that. That when you bought it in a comb like that, in olden days, people knew it was pure honey.
Mm-hmm.
There's a piece of that plays to that as well.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a china cabinet sitting right here up there. I got a crystal. It's got a base on it. It looks like that. It's got round, and it's got a crystal dome with like a walnut type or thing on top of it. Did you pick it up? That's a 5-pounder. It holds 5 pounds of honey in the comb. You cut your comb up. You slice your comb and let the honey drain out of the comb, and the crystal holds the comb, and you keep the comb in there and all that. And then we went down where Ricky Rourke lives. That would be my father's uncle. We went down there when I was a kid, and he had a 10-pound on the dining room table.
Wow.
And it was it was at least 12 or 13 inches across, a round crystal pot, you might say, up on a chandelier,
On a pedestal. Yep.
a pedestal like that, and a dome lid with like a I don't know, it looks like an acorn or something up there on top.
Yep.
And it had real fancy doodads around the edge where it, where the lip was and met the part, and it was, the sidewalls were real tall, deep.
Yep.
And that was a 10-pounder.
That thing must weigh a ton. Holy cow.
Oh, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Full honey.
That stayed in the middle of the table. It never moved.
It never left.
Never
Never left.
That was right there. That was where you didn't get your sugar. You just went up there with your a big spoon or whatever, and just dipped you up some loose honey or some honey with some comb.
Yep.
And most of them old guys down there, mother said, "Well, don't you?" I said, "I don't want that comb." And I got the liquid on my toast with butter on it.
Yep.
And the other ones, they take that comb and spread that waxed comb on there because they are used to eating that stuff.
Yep.
That was part of that was their tradition.
My girlfriend went over to the Christmas markets in Austria, and I think it was Switzerland and stuff like that. And she saw all kinds of cool honey stuff like that. She said in the hotels, you'd go and they'd have a frame and it would be dripping honey off of it, and you could get fresh honey right off if you wanted some comb or whatever. She said it was really cool to see.
All right, this is a good question. Tiny Creek asked, friend of his just installed 2 nukes last week, and they're in 10 frame hives. Both have screen bottom boards. Issue is one hive had started to collect under the hive.
There's the queen underneath there.
It's got to be.
Where's he located?
Where are you at, Tiny Creek?
He is in
Your queen might have got away
Yep, she might have crawled out.
when you were transferring them.
South
Yep.
Carolina. That's Andrew. South
So
Carolina.
South Carolina, it's not like they're getting pushed out for the heat.
Yep. Or
It's warm.
or
Now. 70
they
degrees.
wanted to swarm and it rained or it got cold. I know it's been cold a couple of nights here in South Carolina. Brother-in-law lives down there, so they could have got cold and they all clustered underneath to keep her warm. And as soon as it warms up, they're going to be gone. So you might want to don't get them out of there, and check for put them in a box and check for queen in there, and then check your other hive to see if you got cells in there.
Well,
Is it
it's like,
common they run screen bottom boards down there because of the heat?
Yeah, it is.
Because I don't run any up here unless it's by mistake.
I run them.
Do you?
Just
All
run 'em.
winter long.
Yeah, but I use chloroplast. Right now, there's all chloroplast up underneath them hives.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom, I agree too. I'd bet him $100 too that there's a queen in the middle, that cluster.
Yeah, when they were transferring them over.
Either that, or either they were transferring them over and she got dropped on she fell off on the board and just went underneath, or they were going to swarm and they did it too late in the day and they all just went underneath.
It's like last year, I had my helper here, and I seen a little wad of bees in the grass in front of the hive. And I dropped down to my knees and got down there. I'm going there with my finger. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I guarantee you there's a queen right there." Sure enough, there she is. I said, "See her? There she is right there."
Yep.
You see a little ball of bees like that, all
You better
tight,
go look.
real
Yep.
tight. You best be looking because there's a queen there.
And what was the condition of the frames of the newt when you put them in there? And did they put any more drawn comb in there, or just bare foundation?
Yeah, did you see the queens go in
Yeah.
when you transferred them?
There's Tom. Look at Tom's last bee of honeybees.
Yeah. So Tiny Creek says they have drawn comb from last year. Okay. It shouldn't be in too bad a shape.
Well, you're gonna have to, go on in there and sweep them off.
Yep, I'm going to sweep them off into another box and check that hive box for swarm cells, because I guarantee you by now they've made swarm cells, or they're starting to make them. Yep.
Yeah, if the queen's in there, I just put her back in the box.
Yeah, you can do that, but you need to check for sweat to see if they're making cells first before you do that.
Let
So
the adventure begin for that person, huh?
Oh yeah, it's going to be an adventure. Because if they did it once, they'll do it again.
So, Tom, you're going to do queens, 120 queens. So, what are you doing? Requeening everything now? Or are you just doing splits?
He's getting ready to do splits, I think.
You're making splits. Well, Tiny, I wouldn't wait around till the 19th. I'd have that guy out there on them hives tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would too.
He needs to get that queen back in the hive. Holy cow.
Yep.
If it's on you say it's on a 10 frame?
Yeah, but they put a nuke in it.
Well, I'd raise that 10 frame up and put a upside down lid off to the right hand side of it.
Yep.
Set that box over there. Bring that
Bottom board up.
bottom board up. Real, maybe something slipping underneath there just to catch anything that falls off.
Yep.
And shake them bees back in there.
Yep.
Or if anything, go down there and kind of take your finger and look and see if you find a queen. That's what I would find the queen if you see her.
Was that nuke packed full of bees when they got it?
Doesn't matter what it is. It happened.
Yeah, it's done. It's all over. It's done and over with. But
get out there and get that handful of bees, and maybe, like you say, take your finger and kind of brush around there and see if you see her.
yeah,
If you do, then kind of bring it down close to that hive and just kind of give it a little peck.
yep,
It's just enough for her to fall off into that frame.
yep. Then hope she doesn't work her way all the way down to the lid.
What did
Okay. Yep.
it was what?
It was packed full of bees. So if it was packed full of bees, and let's just say it was a swarming scenario, and they got cold and they went under the hive to stay warm, they may have already had cells in there and didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, they were packed and getting ready to go.
Yeah.
And somebody dilly-dallied around about getting them put away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how hot that nuke was coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is with that nuke, put her in there, make sure, or if you get it all put back together, let's say, I'd be putting a little bit of 1-to-1 sugar water on there,
Yep.
and give them something to stay for inside the hive. Hey, it's good food here. Let's stay here.
Yep.
Yeah, DC, I agree with you there. You can't see everything on a video,
Right.
especially that kind of observation that you really need to see.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, DC's weather sounds like ours out here.
Where's he at? Is he out on the Eastern Shore?
No, DC is out on the West Coast in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
He's out there in constant rain.
Yep.
Atmospheric river, is that what they call it?
Yeah. Yep. See, good enough backyard beekeeping. He's bought nuke before that had a cap queen cell in it. Yep.
Yep. Do what Melissa say.
Yeah, Tiny Creek. It is hard to mentor people if you can't be right there with them and answer their questions and help them do something for the first time. Yeah, I get it. It's very hard to do that. And there's a lot of clubs, especially here in Virginia, that are going to that model for mentoring. If you have a question, you call your mentor and send them the pictures or videos because they don't want to come out and take care of it. And that's just, you can't teach a beekeeper that way.
Good night, Carl.
Night, Carl.
I didn't know you were.
I got a couple guys. I'm going to run out and help them transfer their nukes into their 10 frames. Just, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Safer that way.
It's a lot safer that way, because then that way they can't say, well, you didn't help me.
Who's that, Will? Somebody you're selling something?
No, I got a, you always have 2 or 3 people wanting to get into bees and you're trying to help them, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so just run out and help them because a newbie ends up with a nuke, and then, they're all geared up and freaked out about even just transferring it into a 10 frame box.
Yeah, so Tiny Creek. Tom's not the only one invested in it now. There's 3 or 4 of us that are invested in it. So let us know what happens.
That's true.
So a small commercial guy is selling his equipment, 232 deeps. Most have feeders, fair to good frames, $25 each. 20, whew, where's that at?
Yeah.
Fair to good frames, $25 each.
That's expensive.
No, is that a box full of frames for $25? You have a feeder in it, and then what? 8 or 9 good frames, drawn frames would be interesting.
Yeah, but why is he getting out of the business, Stephen?
What were we talking earlier about boiling stuff, Bill?
Yeah. You need to think about that. You need to ask him some very pointed questions as to why he's getting out of the business. And what happened to the bees that were in them? That's the next question.
Ooh, lost 150 of his 200 hives. Yowza.
I don't think I'd be buying them.
What was it? He had what was wrong with the bees?
He lost 150 of 200 hives.
Bill, can you say ELAP?
Yeah, ELAP. I bet you he got the ELAP for it too.
You think? Or he didn't?
It depends.
Well, if he cashed out on the ELAP and then sold off all the gear,
What's
is that
ELAP?
what you're thinking?
Yeah.
What's ELAP?
It's through the USDA, through the farm stuff. If you have an ELAP, you can get reimbursed. Was it $120 or $123 a colony once it reached a certain? There's all kinds of requirements to it, but
yeah, you have to lose more than 35% of your bees and stuff like that.
All right, so he said he had a beekeeper help him last 2 years. Let's see, where's that?
And he lost 150 hives, and he had a beekeeper helping him.
And he lost money on them. And lost 100, you know. He had somebody that, like Bob Benny says, he grew way too big, more than he could ever handle, more than he could understand of what beekeeping is about. And, you know, he thought it was going to be an easy situation.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that, Will. Think about that.
I know. Bob says 3 times. Bob says 3 times. Shouldn't grow more than 3 times each year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is this. Maybe take it a little slower and learn how to work bees, you know, to where it's beneficial for you.
Yep.
Yeah, Stephen, that explains it right there. Coming back off the almonds. And those bees were highly stressed, poorly managed, and poorly fed. And almond nectar and pollen is about the worst pollen and nectar you can put bees on. So yep.
Someone jumped into the deep end too early.
Too quick. Yep.
He didn't come on Bee Chat and find out about all the shenanigans.
No.
Especially going to get anything from California.
DC, yeah, it could be good equipment, but being that it's coming off the pollination circuit, yeah, I would really think twice about it, though. You know, especially the frames and foundation. The boxes you can boil them and repaint them or linseed them or something like that and get rid of anything that's in them. But I don't know. I wouldn't trust the frames.
It's like Tom down there said. 3 times is stretching it if you're not on your game.
Yeah, you're right.
Tom's
right.
That.
Yep.
You got to be really on top of your bees. I would say twice, 2 times.
Well, what I'm getting at is you got to be a good beekeeper and really know what you're doing. Not so much take a chance, but you know what you're doing. So, hey, I want to expand. I know what I'm going to do with these bees before I ever get them and how I'm going to work them and whatever.
Yeah, you got to have that. You got to have that plan.
I'll tell you, I think I fell into the trap that a lot of guys fell into last year. The honey flow went late.
Yeah,
I ended up treating late. You know.
Yeah,
and that's why I lost 50% versus a year before I lost 25.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. But
Sprinkle a couple of bad queens on top of it, and there you have it.
Yep. So think about this now, Will. You lost 50% this year, right?
Yep.
So if you go to 100 hives this year, what's it going to cost you to get to 100 hives? By the time you get them set up and get them working, you figure you've probably got $300 a hive invested in it.
Well, there was a day I'd have said there's a day I'd have said you'd have $500 in it.
Okay, so let's say 300. Make the math easy.
Yep.
So you got 100 hives out there at $300 a pop. Do the math.
Yep. And then lose half of them.
And then lose 50% of them.
Yep.
Which is the average loss right now.
Yep.
So you just lost $15,000, right?
Oh yeah.
So now you've got to reset those up again. Plus, you're going to want to grow more. And now, let's say you're at 150 hives at $300 a pop. Now you lose half of them. Now you've lost 75 hives.
Well, I got $2,500 in replacing my 50% debt outs this year.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm hoping that goes well, dropping packages on, because I have comb and that,
Yeah. And you figure your packages, you're not going to, it's going to be 2 seasons before you get anything off of them.
Yeah, I'm not figuring nothing for that.
Right.
And Tom's another thing there. Invest in the equipment, not the bees.
Right.
Yep.
Grow your bees yourself. Just Ian said that. Bob Benny said that.
Yep.
Yeah, because, well, I spent $2,500 on packages, but you're right. The bees die, you're out $2,500.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
How many packages?
20.
Yeah, that's 20 boxes of bees. I mean, that's a small enough number that you can kind of.
That's manageable.
Manageable, yeah.
Yeah. You get into hundreds, that's a different animal.
Yeah.
And a $2,500 hit's a lot different than a $25,000 hit.
Exactly.
Well, it's like Brian from out at Flower Street. I think he's up to 75 hives right now. And he had an idea. He wanted to go 100 or something like that. I forget what it was. And he said, you know what? 75 is just right. Let's get used to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm still figuring out my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I don't think I want to drive down and bring back hundreds of packages and try and sell them because the squeeze isn't worth the juice.
Well, there's 2 sides to this story. So if you look back through history and look back at the past, I've always been taught and always been told, even by the pollinators, that almond pollen and nectar isn't nutritious. It's about the worst thing you can put bees on. And now you're hearing just the opposite of that. Think about what's going on. They're trying to get more people to pollinate almonds out in California. So you gotta weigh the pros and cons of it and do your own research and figure it out. Do that research, do that digging before you get into pollination, because you're probably going to find out that what you're thinking is correct.
Well,
I wouldn't send anything to pollination that I couldn't live without.
Exactly.
Look at it this way. Talk to Bracken about that. He's doing the pollination circuit on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
40 colonies. I know there's a couple other people I know that are other chats that I go to that, well, you got he was out, this one guy's out in Oklahoma, I think it is, and he would get on a truck and fill it out with his hives. and did pollination for several years, and he's quit. And then what's his name on Stream Team?
Bruce.
Bruce went out there and got burnt,
Yep.
Financially, and he quit.
Yep.
And
he quit pollinating.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but he went. He went out
going to
California. He was going with the other guy to California, and the broker out there burned him and all that stuff.
Is that what happened to him?
More or less, from what I gather, yeah.
Yeah.
He got, they kind of didn't treat him right. And
so
there's Mike. There's your aunt. Who wanted to know about getting bigger bags of OA?
Oh,
yeah,
I
Mike,
was wondering.
How's that going? Because there was a question asked about that on here tonight, Mike. How's that going? So if you want to do pollination, Will, take a run down to Martin's and talk to Irvin Martin. He does pollination, but he does the blueberries. And then he brings his bees home. He doesn't go to California.
Well, he teams up with, is it Brubaker out of Adams County?
I think that's who he got. I think that's who they run down there with.
Yeah, they run down to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then I think I had a little bit of talk. I had a little bit of conversation there. But he runs with Brubaker, takes them to Georgia, works the bees down there. Part of the challenge is you got to be able to get down there to work the bees.
His boys go down there and work the bees.
Yeah, and I don't know this. I mean, this was all secondhand, but I heard that Brubaker was sending 5 tractor trailer loads to California. And then
he might be, but
California,
I know that
they were hitting blueberries.
I know that Irvin's bees just came back last Thursday or Friday.
From Georgia.
Yeah.
I know that Chuck Cudick down there that were the queens I get from down there. He has a place in South Carolina. He's based out of New York. He does blueberries in that area down there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a ways from that at this point. A long ways.
All right, here's Mike's answer. So whoever was asking that question, here's his answer. It's been a battle back and forth between a bucket and a bag as far as labeling. Been a hassle, but making progress, hopefully available this summer. So there's your answer on the OA question.
And the other thing he was working on was making the OA strips, right?
Yeah,
was he working on that?
Can you come in, Mike? Can you come on here real quick?
I think that's a long haul there.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is too.
I don't want to depress him. Boy, a bucket of OA would be nice, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
You just pop the top. You could take it through the apiary. You could jam your,
Yep, jam it. Syringe down in there and
just keep right on rocking.
Keep right on rocking with it.
Hopefully by summer as well.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Excuse me.
So hopefully by fall, you'll have all the products you need.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Clay had a good comment.
I like that. It's like gambling.
Yeah, it's gambling. It's like gambling. It's addictive, and you can't get enough until you can't handle what you have.
I get that. I think he hit that spot on.
Yes, he did. He hit it right on the head.
And then DC, LOL, Clay. I call it riding the bee.
Yep, riding a bee.
Yep.
Is that anything like riding the lightning?
Yep. There you go. Everything ready for fall treatments.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go in there and put them strips on. Go right through the winter.
Yep.
Oh, now we're going.
Here we go.
Talking about bees or women.
It just fell off the edge there.
So much for that.
Yep. So much for that conversation.
Yep. We just crossed over.
Yep. Oh boy.
Excited about bigger amounts. Amounts of what?
Melissa's gonna make Tom get off here if he keeps on.
Now let's think about that previous comment with how many you can handle. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna stop.
You hear us laughing, don't you, Tom? Well, it's 10 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. It is late. I have to get up early in the morning. I have a truck to meet in the morning. Charlie's got to go to work. Will gets to sleep in tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be running early tomorrow.
Yeah. What you got going on tomorrow?
Oh, I got appointments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vascular surgeons, all kinds of happy stuff.
Oh, Lord.
But we're on the good turn of that, so.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, y'all have a good evening. I'm going to end the chat and have a great day tomorrow and have a great week. Don't forget Nancy Wednesday night at 6:30. You can go into every other week. And Charlie Friday night at 8 o'clock. So y'all have a good week. We'll see you Friday night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.